Today we have for you some really exciting DIYs that you're going to love.
For this Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to start with this little bunny. It was so cute already to begin with, but I just wanted to give it a little bit more of a look that I actually like and want in my home. I removed everything from it, and then I'm going to take this Dollar General. It's like a planter, and I'm just going to just use it as a guide. So I am going to remove a little bit of the portion of the egg. So I don't want it to look like it has an egg. I want it to look like it's the bottom portion of the bunny. So we're just going to keep it round, but we are going to score it using the blade knife, and then we're just going to snap it and then sand it to where it is smooth. You won't even tell that it was not there before. Now, I did leave the arms for now, but later on I do remove them because I decided I didn't want them. I am going to sand everything down using a palm sander and a 150 grit sandpaper to remove glitter, any glue that is on it. I did wipe it down really well, and then I'm going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. Then I'm going to use some painter's tape, and I am going to, for the first time ever, create my own plaid look using painter's tape in different colors of gray. So I'd made some vertical lines, and I am using some Rust-Oleum chalk paint grays that I had already on hand, and I'm just going to start painting, drying, and keep adding some now horizontal tape, and then I am going to continue to show you how I did it in making sure that every gray that I use is a little darker than the last. So now that I have everything painted, I'm just going to remove all the tape, throw that out, and going to reveal the buffalo check. At this point, I have no clue if I did it right or not because I had no clue. This was the first time I ever did it, but it actually turned out pretty good. It is kind of too sharp for me right now, so I did sand it down quite a bit just to soften it and give it a little bit more of a distressed farmhouse look. And as you can tell, I have already removed the little arms from it, and it looks so much better. I wiped it down really well, and I'm going to use some of these decal flowers that I love. It's one of my favorite ones to work with, and I'm actually going to do another DIY with it later on. I'm going to place them one towards the bottom, one towards the top. And then I'm going to remove the excess using my X-Acto knife. And then, of course, we need a little bunny tail. So I have some cotton little, they're not cotton swabs. They're just little pom-poms that I actually removed from a different DIY a while ago. And I'm just going to use them to hot glue a little tail on him. And look how cute. Oh my gosh, it's my favorite from today. I had to put it first because I just loved it. I loved the plaid. I don't even know if I did it right, but I like the look and I think it turned out super cute. I'm going to start with this Dollar Tree board. Basically, I'm just going to remove the jute string, and then I'm just going to take the white vinyl and cut off a piece. It's about maybe 6 inches wide. I printed this 3 bunny picture on my laser printer, so nothing major, just basically found an image online and printed it in black and white. Now I'm just going to place it on the back side of the vinyl. I'm going to tape it in place just so that I can keep it uncurled because it was curling way too much. This is an alternative. That's something that you can do if you do not have a cutting machine. I placed some carbon paper in between the copy paper and the vinyl. And I'm just going to trace it with the little tracing tool. It came with it. I'll tell you a little bit more about this carbon paper and the tracing tool. So I'm just going to trace all the bunnies with the tool, and then now you have a perfectly copy. I didn't worry about the tail because we're going to do something with that in a little bit. Now I'm just going to cut each bunny. This took me a little bit, so I am going to speed it up for you, but I'm just going to cut it. No, not difficult at all. And then once I had them, now I have 3 cute bunny stickers. So I'm going to remove the backing, and I'm going to start placing the one in the center. Then I'm going to place the one on the bottom and then the one on the top. That way they're as evenly placed as possible. Again, this is just a great alternative to not having a cutting machine if you still want to have some custom crafting. All right, so now that we have the bunnies in place, we need a tail. So I have these little pom-poms that I had from another project. And I'm just going to hot glue one to each backside of the bunny. I think they're adorable. It just makes this bunny more 3D. And I love the neutral colors that it has. All right. So now we're just going to make a little swag for the top of the sign. I'm going to tie them together. This is just some faux boxwood that I get on Amazon. I wrapped it around and secured it in place with some jute string and added some hot glue to the top. And I'm just going to place it right there. To hang it, I'm just going to place some more jute string. I'm just going to hot glue it on each side. And then I am going to just put a little bit of masking tape. This is just going to allow it to really be secure And that's it for this one. I put it first because it is such an easy craft. You don't even have to do them white. You can do them in any color you want. I think it's so cute. Love this for Easter. For this next Dollar Tree craft, we're going to add some color to these. All right, so we're going to take the pink vinyl. Look how pretty that is. This love sign is from the Valentine's collection at Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove the love from it. I don't mind if some of the paper comes off because we are going to remove it as much as we can by sanding it down and scuffing it up just a little bit. It will allow for the paint and the vinyl to stick very nicely. So I just use my electric sander, but you can use a sanding block if you'd like. I'm going to wipe it down very well, and I'm just going to give it a rough one coat of Waverly chalk paint in the white. This is to lighten up the background because this vinyl is a little sheer. You can see through it a little bit. So adding the white really allowed it to just look very dense. All right, I'm going to cut up a piece that is going to cover exactly the size, the tag, and we're just going to place it starting from the bottom to the top. A really cool way I found to remove the excess vinyl from the edges is to sand down the edges. So if you do a downward motion with a sanding block, it really makes that edge to be very smooth, seamless, and it does smooth those edges out. Look how pretty that looks. All right, this welcome little bike decor is darling. I love the colors. We're going to remove the welcome portion of it. We're keeping the bike. All right, so now I'm going to place it towards the bottom of the sign. And I'm going to mark with a pencil where I need to drill a few holes so that we can tie it with some wire. Because it is the way it's shaped and the material, hot gluing it would not have worked. So I'm just going to drill those holes, use some flexible wire, and then I'm going to bend the wire in half, and I'm just going to place it right through the holes, making sure that I'm tightening in the back nicely. I'm going to cover the wire with some duct tape. That way it's not going to scratch any surface. We're going to add some florals. We're going to add these beautiful pink ones from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to add some green ones too. Here's a little trick. If the flowers are a little too loose at the end, add a little bit of hot glue and place the flower. It'll hold tightly and it won't come off again. All right, so now I'm going to make another little swag here, and I'm going to do the same thing. Take some jute string and just roll it around in the center. I didn't hot glue it to the florals because that way if I want to reuse them again, I can. Once I had it secured in place, I'm going to hot glue it again to the top, but I am going to leave a little room on the top of the tag, so I'm just leaving about 2.5 inches. I'm going to whiten that hole that was already in there with my drill, and I'm just going to thread some of this beautiful teal burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to tie it in the knot. Once I have the knot, I am going to just slide that knot to the back. That way you don't see it, and look how pretty this looks. It's very feminine. I love the bright colors. The flowers and the bike really complement each other. For this next Dollar Tree craft, I'm going to take these 4 wooden egg ornaments from Dollar Tree in 4 different color and designs of vinyl. Look at that floral one. Isn't that stunning? I love it. All right, I'm going to cut off 4 pieces of each vinyl so that we have enough to cover each egg. And then, of course, we want to remove the back and then place it on each egg. So we are done covering the eggs, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my sanding block and just sand down those edges. This was so quick and so effective. I love this technique. All right, so now I'm going to take my crocodile, and I'm just going to whiten that hole that's on top just a little bit. And of course, we want to go through the vinyl as well. This crocodile is one of my favorites, and I do have it on my Amazon store if you want to check it out as well. All right, so now that we have the holes made, I am going to put some masking tape at the end of this jute rope so that it can thread nicely through each hole, and I'm going to do that to all of them, and then I'm going to tie them in the knot in the top. Now I'm going to add some florals to each egg. So I'm just going to take some colors that really complement and contrast each egg. The pink ones look great against that yellow, these blue ones with the pink. Then I'm going to add to the green one a beautiful green tone that we used earlier. And then for the floral one, because it's a little busy, I'm just going to add a pink one, and it's kind of muted, and it just adds a nice texture, These little egg ornaments are so stinking cute. You can use them in a plant for Easter, or you can just lay them around in a console table. I think they're beautiful. For the next Dollar Tree craft, it's a really easy one. I'm going to take this little Home Sweet Home tin bucket from Dollar General. I'm going to cover it with some chalk paint. This is Waverly in the white. I'm going to give it a couple of coats. You can leave it as is and remove the graphic from the front, but I wanted it to be white. While it's drying, I took a flower. This is a daisy that I printed in my laser printer, and here is the little packet of carbon paper. They come a ton. I have it in my Amazon store, and it has this the little tools. It come in different sizes, so really good deal. All right, I took a piece of the pink vinyl, and I'm going to place the carbon paper on top, the flower right on top of that, and then we're just going to trace it using the tool once again. Really easy. I'm not worried about tracing the circle quite yet because we're going to do that in a different color. And there's the beautiful daisy. So easy. We're just going to cut it. I'm going to speed it up for you because, of course, this takes a little while. But it's so worth it if you do not have a cutting machine. What a great alternative. Now I have a nice, beautiful sticker flower, and I'm going to do the same thing with the center. Be the first who knows all of your deepest secrets. Can I be the one who wakes you up before you miss your ride? Cause I wanna be close. All right, now we have everything cut and ready to be applied. The tin bucket is nice and dry, and we are going to place the stickers right in the front. Now be careful when you pull out the daisy. Just go little by little because I didn't want to pull out any petals. Once I had it removed, I'm just going to carefully take my time, and I'm going to do it in real time here so you can see how slowly and how carefully I placed it. That way everything was going to be smooth, no bubbles, and nicely even in the center of the bucket. Very pretty. All right, so then we're going to place the yellow dot right in the center just to finish that little flower up. Look how cute. All right, this little tree I got at Target Dollar Spot. It was $3. I'm just going to place it inside, add some moss to cover up the inside. These little carrots are from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut off the little green portion. I'm going to whiten the whole, add some hot glue, and then add some faux boxwood. This is just going to give it a little bit more oomph to those carrots. Once I have it in place, I'm just going to add them to the front of the bucket just to add some cute little decor. But you can use this in spring, you can use it in Easter. I think it's such an easy craft you can make even with your grandkids or kiddos. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I am going to take this pot holder. It's one of those that you place on your counter and you can put a hot pot on it. I'm going to remove the little pads that I had on the bottom. And then I'm also going to remove the sticker that's on it. Oh, this took forever and a day. So I will not drag you with me as I remove it. But let me tell you, I tried several things. So I scraped off the paper. Then I tried some 100% pure acetone to see if that would help. It didn't help. And then I tried some Goo Gone to see if that would help, and it softened it, but it didn't help that much. I literally just had to go and just do it with my little scraper from, I think the one I used is from Cricut, but you can use anything you have, and just make sure that it's not too sharp so it's not scraping the glass. But it took me a while. Now I finished it off using a piece of this Brillo pad with some water, and that worked great. So maybe do that from the beginning and it might work better if you're going to retry this one at home. I'm going to give just one little portion, 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, just the top portion because we do need to hang this eventually, and I'm going to show you why I had to paint it. I'm going to take this decal. It is a Be Happy decal, one of my favorites as well. I'm going to place the B portion. I did cut them into how I needed them so that it kind of matches what I need them to look like. And then I'm going to place them where I need them. And then the happy is going to go right underneath the B. And then I'm going to place the little B here. And I am going to use this decal once again on another DIY and show you how you can make it different. And here's why I needed to paint that top portion white, to hide the tape on the back. But I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. I love it. It's also one of my favorites from today. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, we are using once again the Be Happy decal. This is actually a third one that we're using this decal, but this time I'm going to use this little mug. It's from the Dollar Tree, and I think it's super cute. You can use it for coffee, hot chocolate, or even soup because it's on the larger side. For this one, I'm just going to use the floral portion of the decal, and I am going to use my X-Acto knife and start making some slits as I need to, because this is a rounded and it has like rounded shapes, and just I needed to cut and make a few slits here and there to make sure that it's going to be as smooth as possible. And let me tell you, it worked out so beautifully. I love, love, love the way this one turned out. So I'm just going to cut some excess from the bottom as well as from the top, making sure that it looks smooth and straight. And then it's time to add some florals inside. I did add some floral foam from the Dollar Tree right on the inside. And then it's time to add some greenery and some florals that I already had on hand. Of course, you can leave it with just the greenery portion, but I think adding a little bit of that pink color that the decal has made this one pop beautifully. This would be a beautiful gift you can give maybe for Mother's Day, and it could be used as a centerpiece, just like a floral arrangement, and they can even later on remove the decal and just use it as a mug, and I think it would be a perfect gift. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this little wooden egg that I got at the Dollar Tree. It comes 2 in a pack. I'm only going to use one. I gave it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and I sanded the edges down just a bit. Then I'm going to take one of these little larger terracotta pots from the Dollar Tree. I added a little bit of foam on the bottom and some Spanish moss. And I'm going to add these little white flowers from the Dollar Tree. And we're going to leave it like that for now, but later on we're going to add some more greenery just because it needed it. It was a little scarce, and I just wanted to add something. I'm going to hot glue a dowel to the back of the egg, and then it's time to add a decal. I am going to add one of these floral ones. It's like a Paris decal, but I'm only going to use one of these little floral ones, and I'm going to place it to the right side and cut off the excess using my X-Acto knife, and then I'm going to place the egg right into that foam. And that's it. I'm going to add some extra greenery as I mentioned earlier, but I told you these are easy. They're so easy and just so beautiful and very springy, perfect for Easter as well. I just love them. For this next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this galvanized mason jar, and it's like a plaque, and you can use it for whatever you want. And for this time, I'm going to remove everything from it, and I'm going to make some additional holes on the top using my crop-a-dile, which I get on my Amazon store, and I do have them on my Amazon store, so make sure you check that out. It is linked down below. Once I had all the holes made, I found these metallic decals that I had not seen before, and this one says God bless you. And when I tell you that this worked perfectly for this galvanized plaque, I mean, it worked perfect. It looked like it was part of it. Look at that. You can't even tell where the decal starts and the plaque begins. It's just awesome. So then I'm going to take some more of those greeneries. Actually, these came from Walmart, and I just going to place one little pick in each hole, and then I'm going to flip it over and use some tape to hold it in place, and then cut the excess with my X-Acto knife. That way it just looks like the greenery is coming out of the top of the mason jar. And then I'm going to add a bow, and just a very simple bow using burlap ribbon. I'm going to loop it like an awareness loop, and then scrunch it in the middle, tie it with some jute string, cut off the excess legs, and then hot glue it right underneath all the greenery. And it was missing a little something, so I found these little yellow flowers that I already had on hand. They kind of go with the decal, so I just hot glued a few there in the center, and that's it. Look how beautiful this one looks. Of course, I love that it says God bless you. And again, just that metallic decal looks perfect with the plaque. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take these 3 little garden signs, and I'm going to remove the string that it had on them, and I'm going to give each 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And then after that, we're going to start applying the decals. We're going to use 2 different decals. We're going to use the one that says Faith, Hope, Love, and we're going to start applying those first. The Faith we're going to start applying towards the right side of the first plank. Then the Love is going to be towards the left side, and then the wait, is it hope? Yeah, hope to the left and then love to the right. There you go. And then that way they all kind of match, but they are in different spots. And then we're going to use that same floral decal that I used earlier, and I'm going to use 3 of them. And I'm going to place 1 flower on each board on the obviously opposite side of the word. Now, the key here is to make sure that you are placing them in different angles so that you get different styles and different colors of the flower. And then I'm just going to flip it over and cut the excess off once again using my X-Acto knife. Okay, so now I flipped them over and I'm just going to add some of this ribbon that I got at Michael's a while ago. And it came with a bundle, and I'm just going to hot glue and making sure that each plank is equally away from each other. And it's about 1 inch away from each other. So I am going to place the ribbon up one side, loop it on top, and then hot glue it on the other side. So that way it can hang like a little ladder. And then we are going to just add a little bit of antiquing wax. Now, maybe I should have done this before I added the ribbon, but it was no big deal. It worked out well. So I'm just going to add Waverly antiquing wax using a makeup sponge, and I'm just going to do it all around the edges, including the decal. I want it to look like it all goes together. I'm going to do that on all 3 planks, and then I'm going to take my brush with very little paint on it, and I'm just going to dry brush to mute down the antiquing wax a little bit, but I'm also going to dry brush the entire thing, including the words, including the flowers, and that way everything will have a little bit more of a distressed, naturally distressed kind of look that I really love. And this one is also one of my favorites today. I think it's stunning. It's large, it's beautiful, and it only costs a couple of dollars. I love it. For the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take 3 of these larger eggs from the Dollar Tree. We're going to remove each half from the other. And then we are going to take the more rounded portion of it, and we are going to start cutting them. I'm going to use my shears that I get on Amazon, and I do also have on my Amazon store. And I'm going to start cutting them in zigzag motion. This is to make it look like a cracked egg. You know what I'm talking about, where the egg looks like a little chick came out of it, and it's really cute. There you go. See? And we're going to do that with the 2 remaining one as well. And then I'm going to take my little wood burning tool that I also have on my Amazon store, by the way, and we're going to start soldering or melting the 2 pieces together. You probably know as well as I do that these eggs come apart really easily. So I did this on my last video that I used decals, and this just really solders and melts that seam, and it creates a very tight bond. And let me tell you, it's not going to go anywhere. It's really, really melted on there, as you can see. And I'm going to do that with the other 2 as well. Now I am going to give all 3 eggs 1 coat of my mixture of spackle and paint. If you follow me for a while, you know that I always have on hand a little bit of mixture of spackle and paint because it creates a thicker mixture and it creates a really cool texture on anything that you put it on. While that first coat dries, I'm going to take these 3 little terracotta pots. These are the smaller ones. They come 3 in a pack. And I'm going to give them 1 coat of Waverly chalk paint in the moss, which is beautiful. One of my favorite Waverly colors. And then I'm going to start adding some Spanish moss onto each little pot. Just a little bit goes a long way. You don't need a lot, but it's going to look like a little tiny nest. It's so stinking cute. And then I'm going to take the eggs and I'm going to start placing these decals. Now these decals came with the Hope, Faith, and Love decal, but these are the little leftover like wiggly lines, and I thought they were perfect size for the eggs. So I'm going to place 1 on each. And that's it. How easy is that? Then I'm going to place some hot glue on each little pot and then place 1 egg in each one. This is going to hold it perfectly because they're not too heavy. And then we're going to add some more Spanish moss inside each egg. And then we're going to add some flowers. This one took a little longer than the rest I will admit, because we had to add several coats on the eggs. We had to cut the eggs, then solder them together, all those steps, but it was so worth it. I love these eggs. They have a very farmhouse spring look. The decals add a little bit of chicness to it, and it's so cute. I love it. For this next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take this paddle style sign. It's like a garden one as well, and such a fun one. It's so circular. It's like a perfect little circle. So I removed everything, including the stick, gave it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint, and now I am going to drill 3 holes because we're going to make a little hanging shelf. So I made 3 evenly separated holes, and then I'm going to take my little knitting needle here and some white jute string. We're going to thread 3 of them right through the holes and make a knot on the bottom, and that way we'll have our little hanging portion of the shelf. If you are enjoying this video, I would love for you to take a second and give me a thumbs up. A thumbs up really helps my channel grow and helps this video reach more viewers. And now that we have the string and the holes already made and in place, we are going to use that same decal that I've used in 2 other DIYs, the Be Happy one. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut off the bee, the happy, the flowers, everything separated, and then add them as needed to the shelf. Again, it's going to overlap just a little bit. I'm okay with that. We can cut that off using the X-Acto knife. We're going to add the little bee right here. And then we're going to take all the strings and we're going to tie them together to create the little shelf hanging portion of it. And it's so beautiful. They're all my favorite. I love them all. I just love this decal. So any DIY that has this decal is going to be my favorite because it's really beautiful. But I love this one. All right, get ready to be blown away by the hardest DIY ever. Okay, so I am joking. This is the easiest DIY, easiest craft you'll ever make. This is another one of those pot holders from the Dollar Tree. And I had nothing to do with it. Basically removed the plastic. And then here again is another one of those Be Happy decals. And I am going to use the floral portion of it and place it right on the right-hand corner. And that's it. Is this even considered a DIY? Like, seriously, it's so easy, but it is stunning. Look at it. I added this little vase from Target Dollar Spot and some greenery. Beautiful, simple, crisp, and fresh. I'm going to take this fabric. I recently got it on Amazon because it is polyester, and sublimation works really well with polyester. So the more polyester, the crisper, the brighter the color. But I printed it with a mirror button on. So basically it is flipped. So the image is going to be flipped so that it looks backwards. But when you apply it onto the fabric, it looks straight. So it'll all make sense. I cut a piece of fabric that is long enough and wide enough to what I needed. And then I'm just going to iron it just a little bit using my press. And then I'm going to place the design right in the center. I'm going to use some heat resistant tape to keep the design nicely in the middle. I'm going to take some parchment paper, put some underneath as well as on top. And then I am going to place the heat press. So I placed it at 400 degrees for about 40 seconds. And I'm going to remove everything. And of course, be very careful. Let it cool down as much as possible. And then when you remove it, you will see the beautiful design right on the fabric. Isn't it like magic? All right, so here I'm just making some seams. I am just pressing them so they are nicely tight. And then I'm going to start hot gluing them. Now, of course, you can sew them. To me, it's just easier to hot glue. So I'm just going to hot glue it. And I'm going to do it on all 4 sides, but the final side, so the top side, it's just going to be a little wider so that I can thread a dowel right through it. So here I'm just finishing up these seams, and like I said, the top one's just going to be a little larger so that way I can thread the dowel through. But I just think it turned out absolutely beautiful. next spring DIY, I am going to take this canvas from the Dollar Tree. It's one of their larger ones and it's flat. And I'm not really going to do anything with the canvas itself. I'm going to take some drop cloth again, and I'm just going to take the design that I printed, of course, in a mirror type, also like flipped. And then I'm going to cut off the excess drop cloth and just leave, I don't know, maybe about a quarter of an inch on each side. And then I did end up trimming the little tiny white trim that the design had because I just wanted it to be just a design. And then I'm just going to iron out just a little bit, press it, and then giving it a nice flat look. I'm going to place the parchment paper, then I'm going to place the design right on top, secure it with some heat tape, and then of course more parchment tape paper. I'm not going to forget again. And then I'm going to press it to the appropriate setting. And then once again, be very careful when you are lifting everything up because it's going to be very, very hot. This one turned out very beautiful too. Now the drop cloth is not as white, of course, as the fabric I used earlier. So the design is not going to be as crisp and bright, but it still turned out pretty good. I loved it. So I measured the canvas. It's about 11 inches wide. And then I cut 2 of these 1x2s into 13 inches. And I'm going to give it 1.5 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And then I am going to distress them just a little bit using my electric sander. I did hot glue the drop cloth right onto the canvas. And that's how we are going to attach that to it. I'm going to take a drill bit. This is one of the larger, thicker drill bits that I have. And I'm going to drill a hole, one on each side. And then we're going to thread some jute string so that we can hang the sign from it. So I am going to finish this up by stapling the canvas right onto the 2 boards. And that's it. It's another beautiful one. I love this one. It's large, actually, pretty good size. And I think the drop cloth really makes it look very farmhouse with the frayed sides. And then, of course, the sublimation, I think, turned out absolutely beautiful. Next spring DIY, I am going to take this wood round from Amazon. It's on the thinner side, but I have used them on several DIYs and it looked pretty well. I am going to cover the whole thing with 2 coats of polyacrylic and let it dry for actually 2 to 3 hours. So I actually did this and then I worked on all my DIYs and then I worked on this one again. So now I'm just going to sand it lightly just to smooth it out. And then I'm going to take the design again I created on Canva, cut off the excess paper around it, and then use some heat tape to secure it in place. I'm going to do the same thing, place it with some parchment paper, and then press it to the appropriate settings. Now this one, you're going to see that you can actually see that's the shape of the press. There it is. I was not happy. I was so sad, but I think it's because, I don't know. I mean, this is my first time working with this, so you kind of live and learn. After I applied a second coat of polyurethane, it was not as noticeable, but you can still see it. So it is what it is. I kept going. So my second design was some flowers, very colorful flowers. I did the same thing. I pressed it. Now you can see some of the paper stay on the design. That is actually okay. I recently saw another creator and she said you just wipe it with a sponge that has like the little scrubby on one side and some clear water and it comes off beautifully. I just dried it with a dry towel. I'm going to tape off the top here because we're going to paint it using a chalk paint by Amy Howard at home. And I gave it 2 coats. And then I just removed the tape. And of course, it's so satisfying. I'm going to add some burlap fabric to the back, and because it's so thin, I'm just going to tape it, and that did really well. I'm going to add some of these little yellow flowers that I got. I think it was Dollar Tree, but maybe Walmart. I think it was Dollar Tree though. And I'm going to place 1 on each side, and then some more of that burlap ribbon. I'm going to make a very simple bow tied in the center with some jute string, and then I'm going to take some more of the ribbon, make a little larger bow, and then place the smaller one on top and tie it with the same jute string. Once it was secure, then I'm just going to hot glue it to the center of the floral arrangement. And then I'm going to take a little pink flower from just a little bundle from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to hot glue it to the center of the bow. And I think this one turned out absolutely beautiful. Again, you can still see some of the lines from the press, but overall, being my first time working with it, I think it's beautiful. There's no way I would have gotten all these beautiful details that look hand painted right on this board of these flowers, and I just think it's beautiful. For this project, I am going to take 3 of these little wooden mason jars from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to give them 1 coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. Then we're going to take the galvanized Dollar Tree plaque, and this one has like a very unique shape, and it has this weird line across from it. I don't know why, it was maybe scratched, but I'm going to use it as a guide, and I scored it with my blade knife. And now I'm going to use my shears that I do have on my Amazon store, so make sure you check that out. It is linked down below. It is awesome. And I'm just going to use that line and cut it through. Now be careful because it is very sharp when you cut them. These galvanized metals are sharp, so I'm just going to be very careful, and I did hammer it down just to mute it down a little bit, but still be very careful. Using my Cricut, I cut out this decal. It says "He is risen" and the scripture right above it, and I placed it right on top. Doesn't it look beautiful? Now here we go. The paper really bubbled after I painted it, so I removed it and I sanded it down, and then I'm just going to use some crafting paper and some glue stick. I'm just going to place glue stick glue on them and then place the crafting paper. Then I am going to flatten it out, roll it really well to make sure it's on there, and then I'm going to sand down the edges, and then that way it'll remove the excess paper around the piece, and it'll be nice and flush to the edges. It works really well. Then I'm going to take my drill and a small drill bit, and I'm going to drill 3 holes on the top of each mason jar, and they're just going to be I'm just going to eye it out. I'm just going to do 1 in each corner and 1 in the center. Then I'm going to take my little chippy brush and some antiquing wax, and I'm just going to start dabbing it just to make it look like it's rusted and just giving it more of an antique farmhouse look. I'm going to do the same thing on the galvanized plaque, and that way everything kind of is cohesive and matches. To join the 3 mason jars, I'm going to use some of these popsicle sticks from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to hot glue 2 of them so that they are connected. I'm also going to secure them using staples. I am then going to secure the plaque in the front using hot glue, and it actually worked really well. And make sure you're very careful because the hot glue makes the galvanized metal really hot, so just be careful. Then I'm going to cut some of these little flowers from a pick from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start adding some hot glue in each little hole and placing 1 little flower in each one. I later realized that it was just not full enough, and I wanted to add a little bit of color. So what I did was I cut out some of the branches of I think it was lavender pick, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drill some holes, and then I'm going to place them right inside of them using some hot glue. To finish everything off, I am going to place some hot glue and some Spanish moss right in between the galvanized top and the flowers. It's just to kind of add a little bit of transition from the flowers to the mason jar, and also to fill up that little area. I did add a couple of black screws where the holes were just to finish it off, and I think it looks beautiful. I love the way this one turned out, and what a great message to share during Easter.
If you enjoy DIY home decor, make sure you subscribe to our channel. I post every single week, so make sure you hit that notification bell as well so you don't miss any of the content.
For the next project, we are going to take one of these foam ring forms from the Dollar Tree and some burlap ribbon from Dollar General. We're just going to start wrapping it around, and I just had some leftover on a spool, so it didn't have enough to cover the entire thing. You can see it there, but it was actually no big deal. You're going to see why in a little bit. Then I'm going to take this faux boxwood that I get on Amazon, and yes, it is on my Amazon store, so make sure you check it out. It is linked down below. And I'm just going to start placing them just about 2 inches away from each other. And then I took these little yellow and white flowers and I cut them out separately, and I'm just going to start placing them and pushing them through the foam anywhere in between all the faux boxwood, and this is what's going to give it some fullness. Now time to work on the galvanized metal plaque. So this is the same one we just used, but we're not going to cut it. We're going to leave it this size, and again, using my Cricut, I cut out the phrase. It is finished, and we're going to place it right in the center, and then we're going to add a lot of hot glue and then place it right in between all the florals. And I loved it. It just looks like all these flowers have grown right over the plaque, and it's just beautiful. I think this is my favorite from today, but it's really hard to choose. But I just love the way this one turned out. For the next project, we are going to take this leftover Dollar Tree Christmas sign. We're going to remove everything from it, and then we're going to sand it down to remove any glue, any glitter, and have it be very, very smooth. I did wipe it down really well to remove all the dust, and then we're going to do the same thing we did earlier. We're going to use some glue stick, and we're just going to put it all over the sign, and we are going to attach a craft paper that is so beautiful. It's pink and white, and it came in a craft paper book, and they come in like this large books and you with all kinds of designs, and sometimes they're really inexpensive, and sometimes they even have a sale. So I applied it on and I rolled it to make sure it's really attached, and then with the remaining piece of craft paper I am going to cover the bottom. Now on to the next galvanized plaque. It's going to be this one. It has a very cool design. I cut out the phrase using my Cricut, "He lives," with the scripture, and I applied it right onto the center. Then we are going to use some hot glue and attach it to the bottom of the sign. I think it's beautiful. Then for the top, I'm going to use one of these Target dollar spot wreath forms. They're $3. I get them all the time. They're so versatile, and I just love the quality of them. I'm going to pre-drill some holes here on each corner. This is where we're going to later attach some jute string. Now I'm going to use the drill again to drill 2 holes, and this is where we are going to attach the wreath form. We're going to use some wire, and this is from Dollar Tree, just a little piece of wire. We're just going to thread it and then tighten it in the back, and then we're going to use some tape to secure the remaining wire. That way it's not going to scratch the wall. Now using some burlap ribbon, I'm going to make a double loop bow, and we're just going to scrunch it in the middle and secure it with some jute string. And I am going to hot glue it to the top of the wreath form. I am then going to take some gray and white buffalo check ribbon, and I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to create a very simple double loop bow, secure it in the center with some jute string, fluff it up a little bit, and then we are going to hot glue it to the center of the burlap bow. And then, as I mentioned, we are going to add some jute string to the back. Very simple. We're going to just thread it through, tie it in the knot, and that's it. Such a beautiful Easter sign. I love that it has that festive look, and it has a great message because yes, indeed, he lives. So in love with this sign. For the next project, we are going to take this leftover Christmas sign from Dollar Tree, remove the jute string, and sand down everything. Make sure all the glitter and everything from it is gone. And then I'm going to dust it really, really well, making sure there is no dust. And then we're going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. After the paint was dry, I am going to sand the edges just to give it a little bit more of a farmhouse distress look and dust it really, really well. I'm going to dry fit the hashtag galvanized plaque, and then I'm going to use the design that I made for this one, which says "The tomb was empty," and it's from Luke 24 verse 24. And then we are going to attach the galvanized hashtag. I thought it was so cute to use it as a hashtag, you know. And so we're just going to hot glue it to the left side of the scripture, and then we're going to add some florals. I just felt like it was just missing something, and I think just adding some bright colors with some florals was perfect. I'm going to add a couple of these branches from this pick from Walmart. And then we're going to add some sunflowers to the center. And we're going to attach all 4 stems using some jute string. We're just going to wrap it around on the bottom, and then we're going to hot glue it to the right side of the phrase. And then I felt like something was missing on the other side, but we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to use 2 smaller branches from the same pick and do the same thing. We're going to wrap the bottom with some jute string and then hot glue it to the left side of the hashtag. And then to finish it all, we're just going to add some burlap ribbon to the back, and we're just going to tape it because it's not heavy at all. And that's it for this one. A beautiful sign. I love how clever it is with the hashtag. And again, just a beautiful message for Easter. Love it. DIY, I am going to take this lantern that I thrifted for $4.99. Guys, I was so thrilled. It's actually a really good size. I removed the faux candle because it was not working. It was rusted. I even placed new batteries, just not working. I also removed the glass from all 3 panels. I just don't like having glass in my home for my decor, and this is really true glass, so I just removed them. I gave everything a good scrub, and then I spray painted it with Rust-Oleum flat white paint. A couple of coats is all that it needed. I just wanted to make sure that it was fully covered, but also not perfect, because I did want it to have a little bit of a distress. It was dry, I then took it inside, and now I'm going to just add a little bit of a rusted look to it. I'm going to add Antiquing Wax by Waverly. I'm just going to start adding it on the edges, anywhere where metal and metal meet, where it just makes it look like it's just rusted. Was done rusting it, I basically just added several sunflowers that I got at the Dollar General just to add a little bit more of a spring tone to it. And guys, this lantern turned out absolutely beautiful. This little tin vase here. I thought it was super cute. It had so much character, but it was really looking old. So let's give it a new look. I'm going to use, once again, Rust-Oleum chalk pen in the linen white. And for this first coat, guys, we are truly just painting it, just getting it on there. There's no technique. It's basically making sure that all of the brown is painted white. Second coat, I decided to give it more of a, instead of brushing the paint, I just want to dab the paint. This is going to give it a very textured, old looking, almost like this paint has been on this vase for many, many years, and it's just crackled and it's just very textured, and that's exactly what I was looking for right there. I just love how instead of brushing it on, if you dab it on, it gives you this look. And we're going to do it again here in a little bit on another DIY. We are going to distress this vase because boy does it have texture. And anything that has texture, it just, to me, if you distress it, you allow those textures to pop. So I'm going to focus just on the texture and the edges. So I started with the bottom base, and I'm just going to wet distress it. So I basically wet a rag, and I am just going to keep rubbing it until the paint starts to come off. But you have to be careful. You want to make sure you stop at the right time. So just give enough pressure if you're going to do this. Give enough pressure so that paint removes. Once you start seeing remove, kind of lightening it, because otherwise you can possibly take too much. No big deal. You can always paint it again. But who wants to do that, right? So I did the edges, the base, and I'm also going to do the front and the back because, once again, that beautiful texture is stunning. And once we are finished with this, we're done. I'm going to add some blue florals that I got recently at the Dollar Tree. Look how stunning this vase is. It's probably one of my favorites from today. I absolutely love it. Out of wood, and you can tell it was handmade, but it has seen better days. So I'm just going to remove the arms, the bow that it has on there, and anything that's on top of it, and we're going to give it a fresh look. After everything was removed, I am now sanding it very lightly with a 220 grit sandpaper just to smooth things out and give it a fresh kind of softer feel, and then give it one heavy coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And again, I'm not looking for perfection. I wanted to have a little bit of bare areas just to kind of give it that distressed farmhouse look. The little flower pot that was actually in front of the bunny, I removed it, and I'm just clipping off here the nails that were just still on it. And then I'm going to give it another quick sand and a 2 coats of the Rust-Oleum milk paint, not the chalk paint, in the Highland blue, which is absolutely stunning, guys. If you do not, I love Rust-Oleum. This is not a sponsor video, but truly it is such a good quality paint. They have chalk paint, of course, you know about their spray paint. They also have milk paint, and it's just beautiful colors, so check them out. So once that was dry, I am now going to attach it to the right side of the bunny towards the bottom, almost like the flower pot is laying on the floor, or not laying, but you know, on the floor next to the bunny. And I'm going to secure it with wood glue. Now moving on to the tail. So before, originally, the bunny was facing forward, but this bunny, I want him to be facing backwards. 2 reasons. One, I think they just look adorable with their little bunny tails in the front. And also, I'm not a good like face drawer, so I wanted to avoid drawing a face, eyes, and nose. So we're just going to go with the back side here. So I'm just going to take a piece of towel from the Dollar Tree and some pillow stuffing from Walmart, and I'm just going to start hot gluing it, just trying to shape it as a ball, and then attach the ball onto the back side. I am now going to take some of these colorful florals from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start stapling branch by branch onto the flower pot, just on the top side where the going to take this Dollar Tree scarf and wrap it around the neck of the bunny. Originally, I did the bow towards the right side, which is right above the flowers, but later on I did change it to the left because I just thought that right side was a little bit too heavy with the flower arrangement there. And then I'm just going to hot glue some Spanish moss right onto the bottom of the flowers. That way you don't see the staples, and it'll just look a lot more nicer. And that's it, guys. This one turned out so adorable. Next cardboard hack, I'm going to start with 2 wreath forms here. These are grapevine wreath forms that I get. I think it was a combination of Dollar Tree and Amazon. I already had them on hand. I'm going to join them together. One is larger than the other, and I'm using some jute string. I like to loop it on one end and then thread it through the loop and just kind of tie it around a few times and tie it to the other end. This is going to give me a nice strong hold. Then I'm going to just kind of place it on top of cardboard, and I'm going to trace out an ear. We're making a little bunny wreath form, and I'm just going to cut it out using my blade knife once again. Once I had it cut, I am going to use that first one to trace a second one and cut it to the same size, and that way they match each other. Once I had them cut, it's time to just cut off some of the bottom just so that it is flat instead of pointy. And then I'm just going to add some of this yarn. I've had this yarn for a while. It's very fluffy and bright white. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby quite a while ago, about over a year ago. And I'm just going to wrap it around a few times. Once I had it all covered, I'm going to go right back down again so that it is nice and fluffy.
Wanna be the first who knows all of your deepest secrets. Can I be the one who wakes you up before you miss your ride? 'Cause I wanna be.
And then I did the same thing to the other one, wrapped it around, and then went right back down again so that it is nice and fluffy. Once I had it attached, I did hot glue the end to it so that way it won't come off. I'm going to take another piece of cardboard. This is about 4 inches wide, and I'm going to wrap it around a few times. We're going to make a little fluffy pom-pom so that it could be the bunny's tail. So once I slide it off of the cardboard, I'm just going to tie it in the center with more yarn, and then I'm going to cut open all the little loops. I'm sure you've seen a pom-pom made before. This time I'm not going to just fluff it too much. I want it to look kind of messy. I like that look. So I'm just going to start hot gluing both the ears and the little bunny tail. And we're just going to hot glue it in place because it is cardboard and yarn. It holds very nicely. And then it's time to start adding a bow to the center. This is going to be a wreath form, so I do want it to have a nice decorative section down in the center. I'm going to take this burlap ribbon. It also has lace on the edge. I'm going to loop it like an awareness ribbon. Then I'm going to scrunch it in the middle and tie it with some jute string. And then we're going to take some jute string and then we're going to just tie it around that center portion and secure it in the back. I'm going to fluff it a little bit, and then it's time to add some greenery and florals. I'm going to start with these greenery picks. My mother-in-law got me these for Christmas. She knows my heart. I'm going to cut a couple of the picks and just hot glue them underneath each side of the bow. I'm going to do the same thing with these little white greenery ones, and we're just going to keep doing this with all the flowers. I'm just going to add a combination of bright green ones as well as some orange little beads, and then a nice bright green flower in the center of the bow. Friends, I would love to connect with you on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest, and I have those links down below in the description box. Check them out when you're done watching this video. Alright, so we're just about done. Again, I'm just going to hot glue that bright green flower in the center, and this bunny is so beautiful. I love it. It's actually a pretty good size, and you can even make them with bigger wreath forms.
Yeah, you can count on me for that. So put your hand in.
For the next cardboard hack, I'm going to take a piece of cardboard. It's going to be about 3.5 inches thick by about, I would say, about 12 inches long. And then I'm going to cover it using these bamboo flat dowels that I get on Amazon. Recently, I've been using them quite a bit because they're just so easy and versatile. I'm going to cover the entire thing by cutting with my miter shears, which I do have both of these, the dowels as well as the shears in my Amazon store. And I'm just going to hot glue them down the all surface because that way we're going to have a planked look. Then I am going to cover the edges with a smaller piece. This is because the edges is not very smooth and they're not evenly cut. So I'm just going to cover them up with smaller pieces. And then I'm going to give it one coat of Waverly chalk paint in the white, and it's going to have a fresh look. And then I am going to also paint the edges because it does have that cardboard look. I wanted to blend in a little bit more with the planked board. And I did that on all sides. Recently at Dollar Tree, I found these little wood words, and these have 2 in a pack, and this one says home. I am going to give it one coat of the Venetian Yellow by Rust-Oleum milk paint, and then I'm going to let it fully dry. And then it's time to just attach it to the board. I am going to attach it towards the bottom right side of the board because we are going to attach this to a wreath form. This wreath form has been thrifted for a long time. I've had it hanging on my wall, just sitting there, and I thought this would be the perfect project. I hot glued the board, and because it is cardboard, again, it is really easy to attach with hot glue. I'm going to take these fern picks from Dollar Tree. I'm going to take 4 of them, and I'm going to start placing them to the left side of the wreath form. And you're going to start seeing that I'm going to just kind of thread them in between each other because I do not want to have any bow or flowers in the center. I want this to look very natural. So I'm just going to thread them in between each other with some hot glue, fluffing where I need it. Then I'm going to take these little yellow pigs that I got at Walmart last year, and I'm going to start placing them here and there to just kind of add a pop of color and also complement the yellow in the home. And then I'm going to add these larger leaves in the center just to cover any glue that you may be able to see. And then that's it for the flowers. Then I'm going to add some burlap ribbon, and we're going to do something different. Instead of adding a bow to the actual wreath, I'm going to tie it in a knot, and then I'm going to make a bow on top of the knot. This is going to just give it a very natural, relaxed look, and it's not going to clutter the wreath form. And I gotta say, it's one of my favorite wreath forms that I've ever made, and I've made many. It just looks so natural, so fresh. I love the simplicity of it, and I just love it. You gotta let me know what you think of this one down in the comments. For the next cardboard hack, I'm going to take a larger piece of cardboard and two bowls. They came together in a set, but the larger one I'm going to use for the bottom. I'm just going to trace half of the bowl, and the little one's going to go on top, and I'm going to do the same thing. Just trace the half of it. Then I'm going to join in with a yardstick here because we're going to create a large Easter egg for decorative purposes, of course. I slightly rounded off those sides just to make it look a little bit more like an egg. And then using my blade knife, I'm just going to cut it once again. And then we're going to have a nice egg shaped. I think it turned out pretty good. I was surprised. I'm going to spray adhesive spray all over the egg. And I'm going to use the same craft paper that I had before. And I'm just going to cover it up. And then in the center, I'm going to add a little bit more bright color with this like deep red. And in that way, it's just going to add a contrast. I'm just going to add it right in the center. I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm just going to cut off the excess paper. Friends, I have a newly updated blog and website. I would love for you to check it out. It is linked down below, so check it out when you're done watching. All right, so I'm going to take this greenery vine that I've had for a while, and I'm going to hot glue a piece of it to the upper left corner of the egg. And then this cute little coral flower, I'm just going to hot glue it right there on the top. This is another set of those wooden words from Dollar Tree. This one says family, and I'm just going to hot glue it just bare wood like this. I'm not even going to paint it. And then I'm going to add some of these lacy ribbon from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to make a very simple bow. Keep it very simple. I'm just going to adjust it to the size that I need. And then I'm going to hot glue it to the bottom of the flower. Very simple. And then I am going to add some more of that nautical rope to hide the cardboard look on the sides. And that way it's just going to look finished and professional. And I gotta say, this is one of my favorites. I love the size of this egg. I think it's so beautiful. Those colors, the coral flower, I just think it's stunning. And that family little wooden word, again, with no paint on it. Start with these Dollar Tree pods. They're terracotta pods. They come 2 in a pack, and these are these larger ones because they do have smaller ones. I'm going to grab one of them, and I'm going to give it 1 coat of Waverly chalk paint in the white. All right, so now my terracotta pot is nice and dry. I'm going to place the little bunny right in the front, and it is perfect size. I love it. I'm going to place one of these foam balls from Dollar Tree right inside. I am going to hot glue it to make sure that it's not going to come off and just whoop right inside. Then I'm going to take some of these dolls that I already had on hand. I'm going to use 3 of them. And these beautiful 6-pack eggs that you can find at Dollar Tree currently. They have some speckles, and I love the colors that they already have, so I'm not going to do anything to them. I am going to whiten the little hole that's underneath them using the tip of my hot glue gun. Then I'm going to add some glue and add each dial. Then I'm going to cut each dial because I want the eggs to look like a flower arrangement almost. So I'm going to cut them to where ones are taller on the back and then work my way down to smaller size. And I'm going to do that with all of them. So as you can tell, I did stagger the colors so they complement each other well, and they're not going anywhere. All right, so now I'm going to add some of this moss. This is just from Dollar Tree. I am going to place it here and there in the base of the pot. That way we can hide the foam ball. And with just a little bit goes a long way. Now this faux grassy picks I did get on Amazon. I have them always on hand. I love using them. And I'm just going to start placing them here and there all around the eggs. And we're just about done with this one. I gotta say, it's one of my favorites from today. I love the way this turned out. It could be added to any decor for spring and Easter, and I think it would complement it very well. All right, at Dollar Tree, they have these cute little ornament eggs that I found. They come 10 in a pack. I brought them home, and I'm going to use 6 of them today because we're going to make a cute vertical Easter sign. I'm going to give each 1 coat of Waverly chalk paint in the white. While they dry, I'm going to take these little planked boards. I got 3 of them, and I'm just going to join them using some wood glue. I'm just going to put a little bit on each end and then just spread it with a brush, joining together with that, as well as one of these sticks. I'm just going to cut it in half, and again with some wood glue and staples, we're just going to attach all 3 boards together. Take the dried eggs, and I am going to just kind of line the edges. It's just going to add dimension, a little bit of distress, but just to create a little bit of contrast. And then I'm just going to place them one in each egg, and that way we can spell out the word Easter with alternating color tones. All right, so now that I have the letters on each egg, I am going to spread them out so it spells the word Easter and just hot glue them in place. If you notice, I did not cover the little holes on each egg because I wanted to add a little bow to each. So I'm just going to use one of this lacy ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to make 6 little tiny bows. Very simple, and then just cut off the excess, and then that way we can cover up the hole. And we're just about done with this one. I hot glued each little bow on top of each letter. You can add anything else to the sign, but I wanted to keep it on the simple side. I love it. It is such a tall sign, and it's so cute. I think it will look great in any decor. We're going to go back to the Cricut app and find some images of the letters HOP to spell hop. And these were already designed in their design space. And I'm just going to place them again in some smart vinyl, and I'm going to cut them. This time I'm not going to use a mat so you can see how it works. And the beautiful metallic pink that I used earlier. And then once I had them cut, I'm just going to weed them out, and it's so satisfying to watch. I'm also going to use Cricut transfer tape. It is already cut to the 6-inch size of the vinyl, so it works perfectly. I'm going to cut out each letter separately and then remove the excess vinyl. Then I'm going to place the transfer tape right on top. I'm going to scrape it on top just to make sure it attaches to the transfer tape nice and smooth. And then I'm going to flip it over and remove the backing paper. And then I'm going to bring in one of these little jars that I thrifted a while ago, and I'm going to place it on the front. I'm going to do the same thing with the O and the P. Now that I have them all set, I am going to place some of these peonies that I get on Amazon. I just got them off the package, so they are a little wrinkled. But I love these colors, and I love the design of these peonies, and that's it. Look how stunning this looks. You can use any color you want, but that pink is just so beautiful and complements the flowers perfectly. For this next craft, I'm going to take this craft paper that I got in a bundle book at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to cut out a piece just to fit right inside the mat. I'm going to place it right on top. I'm going to place it inside my Cricut Joy, let it do its thing, and then I'm going to head on over to the app once again. This time I'm going to find an image with a wavy line, and you're going to see me type it right on top because I want to create some napkin rings, but I want the rings to have a little wavy design. So I found this image, and it's perfect. I'm going to flip it vertically, and then I'm going to edit it and give it the size that I need. And then I'm going to duplicate it 3 more times so that I have a total of 4 of them. And then once I have that, it's time to just send it over once again to my Cricut Joy and let it do its thing. I'm going to show you a little trick here. If you remove the vinyl or the paper from the mat, it'll curl up on you. But if you remove the mat from the paper or the vinyl, it does not. That I learned a while ago, and it is awesome. All right, I'm going to use some 2-sided tape and just create the little ring just like that. So simple and so cute. Again, I'm going to do the same thing to all next 3 because we are 4 here at home. I need 4 rings. However, you can use however many you want. I'm going to take these little foam eggs from Dollar Tree, and I want them to have a speckled look. They already are white, although you can paint them again white if you want, or any color. This time I'm just going to let them be the natural color they have, and then just spritz some of this antiquing wax with a stenciling brush so that I create a little speckled look like the ones we used earlier, but these didn't have it, so I wanted to create my own. I'm going to use some of this Spanish moss once again, and I'm going to create little nests. So I'm just going to take a little bundle, and I'm just going to start shaping it into a ball, and then just kind of making them into the size and shape of a tiny nest. And I'm going to make 4 of them. I am then going to hot glue each egg after they're dried right in the center, and I think that looks so adorable. Oh my gosh, you can put 2 of them, but for these napkin rings, I thought 1 was plenty sufficient. I'm going to do that to all 4, and then I'm going to bring in some linen napkins that I created a while back on another video. I already had them on hand, and they do have our initial to our last name. I'm just going to scrunch up the top and then just thread them through each ring, and then taking the ring all the way to the center. Then I'm going to hot glue each nest to the top of each ring. And that's about it for this one. This was very different. I've never done an Easter theme kind of napkin ring. I love the way it looks, so natural, and the rings, they're just so simple, and you can create them in any color for any season. Let's start with this white tone one. I love already the tone of it, but I do want to brighten it up just a little bit. So I'm going to dry brush some white chalk paint. This is by Waverly. And again, it's just a little dry brush, a little bit of paint on the brush, wipe it here and there, and then that way it's just going to brighten it up, but you're still going to see those beautiful lines underneath. This piece is a piece from last year, and I had it left over, but it had this little watering can that I thought was so cute. I'm going to hot glue it tilted right to the upper left-hand corner of the house. Then I'm going to start placing some florals. These are just florals that I already had on hand. I keep a basket of different pieces of florals that are left over from other picks and other projects. That way I can take from there as needed. And these were all except for the faux boxwood. This just I'm placing right now. But everything else was just left over. I'm just going to start hot gluing it towards the bottom of the house. Now I am going to place some moss. This is just to cover up all those stems and all the hot glue. And I'm just going to place a little bit of glue and place the moss. And then I'm going to trim and cut as needed so it looks clean and professional. I am now going to take some rope from Dollar Tree and I'm going to knot them very tightly. I'm going to cut off the excess from the top as well as the bottom, and then I'm going to hot glue it in front of each hole. This is going to make it seem like the rope, it's threaded through the hole, but it really is just a knot that is glued. And then we're just going to hot glue some rope to the back of the house. Then I am going to take a blue Sharpie, just any permanent marker will do, and I'm going to make some faux water drops. This is just going to make it look like it is watering the plants, and I think it's so adorable. It's totally my favorite from today. Let me know what you think. I'm going to take another one of those Dollar Tree houses. This was in a darker tone. And I'm going to take 4 different craft papers from craft books that I have. Then I'm going to stack them on top of each other. And I'm just going to cut off about a 3-inch piece. Then I'm just going to start Mod Podging each piece one on top of each other. That way the house is going to have a nice background with all these beautiful designs that complement each other. I'm just going to add a thin coat of Mod Podge and then start placing them one on top of each other. Once I had all 4 pieces of paper stacked on top of each other, I'm going to flip it over, and then we are just going to cut off the excess paper from all around the home. I'm going to use my rotary cutter as well as my X-Acto knife for a very close cut. Once I had the house completely trimmed, now it's time to seal everything with more Mod Podge. A thin layer would do just fine, and I'm going to do that all around and then let it fully dry. I am then going to take a small little wreath form from the Target dollar spot. I get these there all the time. They have 3 in a pack for $3. I'm just going to hot glue this one to the bottom right corner of the house. And then I'm going to take some little carrots that you can find at the Dollar Tree during this season, during the spring and Easter season. I'm going to take 2 of them. I'm going to trim off the little top portion of the carrot and then add these little faux green leaves to them. That way it's going to have a more realistic, I guess a little bit more 3D. I just didn't like the way that faux green look on the carrots. So I'm just going to place some hot glue and place the little greenery right inside. And then we're just going to hot glue each little carrot in the center of the wreath form. I wanted to add a little bit of dimension to the edges, so I'm just going to distress it very little using the antiquing wax and a makeup sponge. I'm going to remove the excess on a piece of towel And then I'm just going to start lining and distressing the edges. I'm going very carefully, adding as needed. This is just for a little detail of dimension and contrast on the edges of the home. And I really think it helped to create that distressed farmhouse look. But you don't have to do this step. You can certainly skip it and leave it as is. Once I had it trimmed, I'm just going to add some of this ribbon that I had already on hand. I'm just going to hot glue it to the back. That way we can hang it. And that's it for this one. Oh, another one of my favorites. I love these little carrots on the side. But my favorite part is all those tones and designs on the house. For this next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to take these 2 eggs that you can currently find at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove the little ribbon from it, and then we're going to wrap them up using some nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. The way I'm going to start it is I'm just going to start rolling it on my cutting mat. I'm just going to start adding hot glue here and there until I have a little roll of about twice rolled. And then once I had it nice and tightened, I'm going to hot glue that to the top of the egg. Now, this is before I realized that the whole thing was going to come apart, and you're going to see that here in a minute. So I'm just going to start adding hot glue row by row, spinning it around and making sure that the rope is nicely tight to the one above. Here's where things go a little bit south, but nothing that we can't fix. The whole thing started coming off because I realized that the jute string was not attached to the egg at all. So that's me realizing, what in the world? All right, so then I removed the whole thing. I'm going to take off all of that jute string. Then I'm going to hot glue the piece that I already hot glued to the top. And then we're going to continue with the technique of just wrapping around the rope all around the egg. When I reached the end of the egg, here's how I did it. I just added a whole bunch of glue, cut off some of the rope so that way I have a smaller piece to work with, rolled it around, really got it in there. Then I cut off the excess rope that I had, which was not much. And then I just pressed that last piece right inside. It was so seamless. And it was actually really easy. Once I have that, it is done. Then I'm going to move on to the next one. And yes, I did remove the jute string before. And I did the same exact thing to this one. I started rolling it up, hot gluing it, and then placed it on top and covered the entire egg with the same process as the first one. Now I have 2 Easter eggs nicely covered with jute rope. I love it. All right, so now it's time to add some ribbon. So this one I had on hand. I didn't have much left over, but whatever I had worked really well. I'm just going to make a hole on the end of the larger part of the egg, put some glue right inside the hole. Then I'm going to place the ribbon on top and then just kind of push the ribbon with my scissors, just like you see there, and let it dry. Let it do its thing. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. Then I'm going to start to just kind of add some greenery here and there. These leafy greens, again, I already had on hand. I'm just going to add 1 to each. I'm going to add some faux boxwood, some white flowers, as well as some pink ones from some bright color. So I stacked the eggs a little bit higher than the other. That way they just have a nice contrast to each other. Knotted the ribbon on top. I'm just going to add some greenery to hide that knot and cut off the excess. And that's it. These are adorable. I think having either 3 of them would look even better. I just had 2, but I think it looks great. This Dollar Tree wreath form is so cute. It has a bunny shape and is perfect for spring and Easter. I'm going to take one of these dusting mobs from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut it into 4 equal stripes, long ways. Then I'm going to place it what will be the front of the bunny. And I'm just going to start hot gluing, covering the ears. So as you can see, I'm just going to put it underneath, place hot glue, and then just kind of cover it and go side by side until they're fully covered. I wish I would have had more dusting mops to cover the entire wreath, but I did have some of these automotive towels, and they have a very fluffy feel to it. So I'm just going to cut them in strips of about 4 inches, give or take, and then I'm going to start wrapping it all around the base of the wreath. I sped it up for you because I know you know how to wrap around a wreath form. All right, so now onto these carrots. I'm going to do the same thing. This time I'm going to remove the actual greenery part of it. And I'm going to add some of these leafy greens. And these are just more grassy like. Same thing, I'm going to add hot glue and stick them right inside. These look amazing with these faux leaves. And I do have these in my Amazon store, so check them out. They are linked down below. All right, so now I'm going to take some of this yarn. One has a more brownish tone. The other one has a mustard tone. I'm going to wrap two of them using these. Just hot glue it in place. I am now going to take some burlap ribbon and I'm just going to loop it around like an awareness ribbon. Scrunch it in the middle. We're going to make a very simple bow, tie it in the center with some jute string. And then we're going to dovetail cut the ends, and then we're just going to hot glue it towards the top of the bunny. I'm going to do the same thing with this striped ribbon from earlier, and I'm just going to place it right in the center of that other bow with some hot glue. And then we're just going to hot glue the carrots to the right side of the bunny. I thought the bow needed a little something, so I'm just going to add more of those little grassy faux leaves right underneath it, and that's it. We kept it on the simple side, but I think adding those carrots to the right side of it just adds those colors, and I just think we're gonna head out to Dollar Tree. It is rainy, it is chilly, but we are excited because I am on search for these wooden pieces that you can find at Dollar Tree. You can find them in different sizes, but I grabbed 3 of these, and I am going to do a really cute spring decor. I'm going to sand down all the edges, the front, the back, and that way they're going to be nice and smooth because they are kind of splintery once you get them. I'm going to paint one of them with this beautiful mint green by Bear, and then the other 2 are going to be white, and I'm going to use Rust-Oleum chalk pen and the linen white. I'm going to place it right in the center of the board, and I'm just going to place 1 tape on top just to kind of keep it in place. I'm going to take some Waverly chalk pen in the white and one of Essential Stencil's stenciling brushes, and I'm just going to start applying the paint. And basically you just want to add very little paint in your brush and just go in a circular motion until you have it completely stenciled. Looks so cute. Now I'm going to take one of their rub-on transfers. Oh my gosh, it is stunning. And all you have to do is cut up the section that you want, remove the back, place it on the surface, and then just scrape. It's so easy. You just want to rub and pull as you go. If you have anything running through the edges, you just want to sand it down very lightly. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other board. Now that I have all 3 boards nicely set, I'm going to flip them over because we are going to attach them vertically. And I'm going to use a ribbon that I got. I think it was at Michael's a while back. It kind of looks like a shoelace. I was kind of giggling when I saw it. But it is a ribbon, so I'm just going to hot glue it going up one side and down the other. And then after hot glue, I do want a staple for a very secure hold. And that's about it for this one. So easy, so beautiful. You can certainly sell this one if you'd like. All the ones that I'm making today are going to be ones that you can actually sell and make a good profit off of them. Made out of wood, solid, durable, and I love the way this one turned out. For this next project, we are headed to Lowe's. Now, you can go to any hardware store as long as they have wood. If you go to the wood section, you can find these wood rounds. They're actually tabletops, but if you want to make a durable, large, heavy-duty, well-made with quality finish, these are perfect for it. I'm going to grab a couple of them, but I'm going to work with this one right now, and I'm going to remove, of course, the plastic. They are pretty soft and well-made, but I do like to sand them down to make sure they're nice and smooth. Flip it over, do the same thing in the back. Now on the edges, I'm going to take a flexible sanding block and I'm just going to sand it down just to remove any rough edges. Wipe it down really well, and then I'm going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk pen in the linen white. It's a multiple step. It's almost like painting by colors. I had such a great time with this project. So the first one I'm going to use is the one that says hop on in. I'm going to place it on some burlap ribbon that I taped onto some paper. I'm going to stencil it once again using Waverly chalk pen in the white. Just going to use a circular motion with very little paint in the brush until it's completely covered. Once I have it finished, you can see that it's right on there. Now, you don't have to use the ribbon. You can put it right on the surface. I just thought adding the texture would be so much fun. I'm going to temporarily tape the ribbon just to kind of give me an idea where I want it. Then it's going to be step 2. We're going to put this first part of the bunny stencil, and I'm going to stencil it using Waverly chalk pen and the moss. I let that dry, and now we're going to bring part 2 of the bunny stencil. Remember, this is all part of the same set. How cute! You can break this down using in different projects, whatever you want. The possibilities are endless. I'm going to use the Waverly elephant color. It's like a creamy color, and then for the little flower, I'm going to use pink by Rust-Oleum. And look how cute they look just hanging out. Adorable. All right, moving along. This one is then the rub-on transfer. Now, it does come with some eggs and carrots that you can stencil, but I thought the colors of these rub-on transfers are so beautiful. They complement the bunnies so well. I thought I'm going to use it here. So I'm just going to use one piece and then added more on the other side. I'm going to hot glue the ribbon to the back to make sure it's nice and snug, and then I am going to staple it to make sure that it's not going to go anywhere. And then, of course, I want to cut off any of the excess ribbon so that it has a nice professional finish to it. Before we add anything else, we want to seal everything, because if they place this outdoors, you want it to be protected from the elements. So I am going to use a Rust-Oleum top coat. This is in the semi-gloss, and just spray the whole thing front and back. I'm going to flip it over before we add anything to the front, like floral wise. I'm going to add the hooks. So I'm going to use these that I get on Amazon, and I do have this set in my Amazon store. So if you want to check it out, it is linked below. I added the 2 hooks on each side. Then I'm going to take some of the wire that came with it, thread a little washer through it, thread it through the hook, and then thread it through the washer again. I'm going to tighten that little washer, cut off any excess wire, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, creating a nice hanging piece. Now, you don't have to add the wire. You can just leave the hooks, but if it's going to be hung on a door, you want it to have a kind of like a string or wire. All right, we're going to just add a mixture of different leafy greens here to the top of the wood round, and I'm going to staple them because it is very secure, and because the board is very thick, you can staple away and not worry about it coming out the other side. I added some purple ones, and this beautiful pink one will finish everything off. So beautiful. I love it. It's one of my favorites today. I love adding that ribbon, but that rub-on transfer really finished it off very beautifully. All right, back to Dollar Tree. I'm going to grab 3 of these shelves. These are some hanging shelves you can get in the frame section. I'm going to take 3 of them, and I am going to then paint 3 of these paint sticks, stain, using Rust-Oleum glaze in the brown tone. I'm going to let them dry. I remove all the plastic and everything from these shelves. This is what they look like. I took everything from it, including the hanging ropes, and I put them together, join them together using the paint sticks. I hot glue 3 of them in the back and staple them for a secure hold, and made sure that I left about a 1/2 inch in between each board. The stencil that we are using from Essential Stencil is this beautiful bird's nest stencil. It's a 2-step one. The birdhouse, I stenciled it right in the front of the board with Waverly chalk pen and the moss. And now I'm going to add the heart and the little window portion. I'm just going to place it right on top after it dried. And I'm going to stencil it using Waverly chalk pen in the white. Again, very little paint on the brush, and then just go around and around until you have a nice good coverage. Remove it and it looks stunning. I'm going to take one of the ropes that came with one of the shelves. I'm going to remove the little ring from it, and I'm just going to put tape on each end because this is going to make it so much easier to thread through the little holes. I want to have a double hanging rope. I think it looked very pretty. So I'm just going to thread the first one through the first holes, making sure that I pull up, leaving enough hanging string. Then I'm going to knot it in the front and cut off the excess. And I'll do the same thing with the other one as I thread it through the second hole. And that's it for this one. What a simple, beautiful one. It's very durable. You can sell this one definitely for a profit. I cannot wait to do this one again. Back to Lowe's again. All right, so if you've never crafted with real wood from the hardware store, highly recommend it. especially if you want to sell them at shows or if you want to sell them online. This is the way to go. I grabbed a 10 by 6 foot. I am going to cut off 1 foot from one side, and then I'm going to bring it inside. I'm using my miter saw, but you can also go to the hardware store and have them cut it for you if you know exactly the size that you need. This big machine you see here on the left is the wood cutting area, and there is usually a sign right up there. And you can find them. They charge a very small fee, sometimes even free if it's just one cut. They'll cut it for you. So keep that in mind if you do not have a miter saw. All right, so once I had it cut, I took it inside. I'm going to sand it down again to make sure it's nice and smooth. I did all the edges and both sides. And then I'm going to wipe it well and stain again using Rust-Oleum chalked glaze in the brown tone. It is water-based. It's not stinky. It does not harm your hands. It's wonderful to use. You just apply it, remove the excess, and then let it dry. And that's what I did with this whole entire board. Once it was dry, it's time to start adding this beautiful Hello Spring stencil. Is perfect for the vertical sign for the porches, and it fits perfectly on these 10-inch board. I'm going to place all 4 stencils vertically, and then I'm going to attach them together with some masking tape to make sure they're not going to come apart. And to stencil it, I'm going to use multiple colors. For the actual letters, I'm going to use white, and this is Rust-Oleum chalk pen in the linen white. And then for the hello, I'm going to use a teal color. It's like a Highland blue from Rust-Oleum. And then I'm going to use a combination of white and green and pink for the butterflies and the flowers, alternating where I place the colors. All right, so I'm done stenciling, and look how pretty this looks. I can't stand it. It was so easy to make such a large board. Definitely can sell for a big profit if I wanted to sell it. All right, I'm going to seal everything using that same top coat spray by Rust-Oleum, and I'm just going to do a couple coats up and down. Now my porch is not ready to be photographed yet, so I just placed it in front of my pantry door, but look how beautiful this looks. So easy, so much fun to make. So for this DIY, I'm going to use this Dollar Tree Christmas sign that I never used, and I'm going to remove everything from it, including the glitter that's on top, using my sanding block and making sure that it's nicely dusted. I like the way this looks right now, so I just selected it all, welded everything together, so now I can move the entire design to its place so that I can cut. For this cut, I am going to use 2 different vinyls. These are going to be heat transfer vinyls, and I'm going to mirror my design. So because I am going to have, or I want to have 2 different color tones, or actually 4 different color tones, you're going to see. I am going to start cutting the vinyl as I see, or as I need it. And here it is, the machine, it's doing its thing and cutting it for me. Once it's cut, then I can start weeding them and getting them ready to transfer on my board. Okay, so now I'm going to take some drop cloth that I have left over from many projects, and I am going to cut it to size. So I'm just going to trace it and then use my scissors to cut. And then I'm going to use some glue stick glue to secure it onto the board. When you are using a heat transfer vinyl in the Easy Press, you want to make sure that your surface is lint-free, dirt-free. So I don't have a lint roller, but I did grab some painter's tape, rolled it around in my hand, and now I'm just going to make sure that I remove all lint from my board or my fabric. I want to make sure that it's nicely clean. So what I'm doing here, I'm just setting it up right over my material to remove any wrinkles and any moisture that the fabric may have, and that way it's nicely set. So I'm going to place the first design, so the holographic words design, and I'm just going to place it on where I want it and start heat pressing. I'm just going to place it on top, hit the Cricut button, and then once it beeps, it's all done, and it's time to remove the vinyl or the cover, the clear cover. And you're going to see how it just transferred beautifully. And now it's time to place the bunnies, and the reason why I'm doing them separately from the design on top is because both vinyls require different settings, different heat temperatures, and different times. To finish it off, I'm just going to hot glue some of these little, it's like a fabric little pom-poms. They look like cotton balls, but they're not. They're like fabric pom-poms that I got from another project left over. And I'm just going to hot glue them to the back because these are the star of the sign, right? The little tails. I think they're super cute. So there you have it, guys. Look how beautiful the holographic vinyl looks, and it just looks perfect with the little bunnies. Love, love, love it. All right, friends, for this next DIY, I am going to take this Dollar Tree bubble, I guess, sign. And I am going to remove, of course, the plastic, remove the hardware, and I'm also going to cut off the little pointy part from the side. After I have everything set, I am going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And what I am creating here is a very natural, neutral color Easter egg. After the paint was dry, I am going to just draw a couple lines. I'm going to be adding some more moss, and I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to start hot gluing and adding moss. And this time I'm going to pack, and then I'm going to start removing any excess, and then adding more hot glue and adding moss as needed. And I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom portion of the egg. After I had the moss where I wanted it, I'm going to take a permanent marker and I'm just going to trace the edges. I want to get a little bit more dimension, a little bit of just a small amount of distress. And as you can see there, I kind of messed up a little bit. No big deal. I just filled it in. It just looks like a little bit of distress. And I'm going to even it out and add a couple more here and there. After I'm done with that, I am going to take some Dollar Tree carrots. These little carrots, I just recently found them. They're super adorable. They are foam inside and they're orange. And I contemplated painting them, but I'm just going to leave them as is. But I will be removing the top little greenery because I just thought it just needed a little bit more oomph to it. And then I'm going to replace them with these grassy florals that I get on Amazon. So as you can tell, it just looks so much better with this greenery on top. I'm going to hot glue them to the bottom of the egg. That way they look like they're just lying around in the grass. And then I'm going to take more of that buffalo check ribbon. I'm going to add a very simple bow to the top. And we'll be done with this one. Be honest for a second. Yeah, you'll be in over your head, babe. 'Cause there is no one other than me that can make you feel the way you feel when I hold you. I think I said enough. You said you love for me something brand new. This is it for today. You're gonna have to let me know which one is your favorite. What do you think of this egg? It's very fresh, natural looking, but it's great for Easter. But which one of all of these is your favorite? I know there's tons of inspiration for you. Let me know down in the comments. I always have another video here for you with tons more of inspiration for you. Make sure you click on it. I'll see you later and have a blessed day. Bye!